This Sagittarius new moon is about focusing on the next steps, a new beginning, a fresh start with how we find optimism and how we use our greater wisdom, our search of knowledge with purpose to move forward in life and create more meaning. We have many squares from Sagittarius activating planets and points in Pisces. This is energy that is going to create initiation. It could be external events in our lives that thrust us forward into this Sagittarius new beginning. The easy energy comes from Uranus and Pluto, and I'm going to get into how we need to lean on those two archetypes to manage and work through whatever is going on at the time of this new moon. This introduction is going to focus on all of those topics for everyone with an emphasis on happiness. Some main points from Arthur Brooks, a professor at Harvard, on happiness and how these planets really speak to the ways that we can move forward from this new moon to create more of that in our lives. Then I'll get into the sign by sign so that you have an idea of where this is showing up in your life and which parts of life are going to have these messages for you. As always, there will be timestamps for both. You can timestamp your way through this introduction and through your sign. Check your sun, moon, and rising. Combine all three if you can to get a better sense of what's going on in your world. The way I present the material is through tropical whole sign zodiac for a general reading. If you want a personal reading, I will use Placidus, Porphyry, and whole sign to combine a stronger picture of what's going on. My booking link is in the description below if you're interested in that. And thank you so much to everyone who's been commenting and chatting with me there, watching these videos, subscribing, all of it. But the comments, I really do spend time thinking about them, processing what's going on, getting that feedback from everyone, and hearing the general patterns that are showing up. That really helps activate my creative flow and my own processing for what I want to go into next videos. So thank you for making this more interactive. And now let's get into this new moon. This new moon is conjunct Venus and squaring Saturn in Pisces. A big part of this energy is, what is our wisdom telling us about what we value? Are we living in alignment with our values? Are we living our values? Venus can represent values, pleasure, the things that we do for enjoyment in this earthly world, romance, many things that create a blissful, comfortable experience on Earth. When Venus is squaring Saturn in Pisces, there's restructuring to do in the energy that we bring to these topics. Pisces is an energy where all things exist. It is a brewing ground for what we create from the energy that is at the source of everything. Saturn here is a reality check on what it is that we're doing at an energetic level. When Venus is squaring, the element of being in alignment with our values from an energetic place really matters. The moon in Sagittarius can have us feeling amped up. The moon is our emotions, and in Sagittarius, that can be very amplified. So with Venus here too, if we are letting our limbic system, our emotional body rule our decisions, we're not always living in alignment with what we value. This is more of something that we need to actively, consciously do every day, and that's what Saturn is taking a moment to check. This is one of the ingredients that Arthur Brooks talks about with keys to happiness. And another one that relates to this Venus square Saturn is wanting less. If we are always wanting more than what we have, we're never fully satisfied. Venus in Sagittarius can feel like that. We're constantly wanting to expand and more and more and more knowledge and searching for the next best thing. There are times in life where we really need to pick apart what is important, what leads us towards purpose. And that is also an element of Sagittarius. So think about that with the things that we move towards with pleasure, what we want out of relationships. Are we constantly seeking for more and creating a level of dissatisfaction for ourselves? Or can we hone in when some of this energy moves out of Sagittarius and focus more on what's important? Saturn can help us with that right now. The next piece of creating more joy and satisfaction in our lives is enjoying the process. Saturn in Pisces is all about that. We don't always have control over the ebb and flow of energy in our world. It just is, some things just come at us. We're not meant to always be happy. That's the key to happiness. That's what one of the things Arthur Brooks emphasizes that really helped me settle last week, was that it is not reality to expect every day to be Sagittarian, to be full of joy and adventure and optimism and getting the next best piece of knowledge and experience. We also need to go through cycles of Saturn and Pisces where we are going through some emotional, sometimes frustrating waters. Saturn and Pisces can limit our ability to tap into ideal and romanticizing and rose-colored glasses. It really wants us to have a grip on reality and where our limits actually are in this earthly realm. And sometimes that means tough days. Sometimes that means emotionally low days where we're not inspired, like Sagittarius. So there's a reason that Sag and Pisces are in square to each other. And that's that their energies there's a conflict, a natural conflict between their energies. There are some similarities, but it's that conflict that I want to emphasize right now, that there is purpose in going through the sludge that Saturn and Pisces can feel like. And we can also have this duality of both going through some of the tougher emotional days and finding optimism and expansion at the same time the next day. There's really no recipe for good days and bad days. And he speaks about different personality types and the benefits of people who tend to wallow or tend to have more limbic system loops where they can focus and spiral on certain emotions. These people have a lot of EQ, often emotional wisdom, and there's depth to their process. People who are also more in the Sagittarian energy and optimistic all the time and see the bright side of things, that can be a Pisces element too. But there are benefits to that. Most people want to live that way, but there are also limits to what those personality types can create as far as business goes. Everyone will have a blend. It's not so black and white, but I wanted to add that to my point here, being that there is richness in a Sagittarius new moon when we can accept Pisces, all that is, Saturn and Pisces. We can accept that there's heaviness and there are limitations sometimes, because Sag, the ruler is Jupiter, it can be limitless. So with Saturn in Pisces, Neptune finishing Pisces, Julianne and I just released a Neptune direct video. So if you want to check that out, there's more information on that transit for each sign. But there's a level of forgiveness that's being activated by these squares, and acceptance, which is why I really am trying to talk a lot about the acceptance of the harder stuff in life. And through that, we make room for change. We make room for the momentum that it doesn't always have to be this way. The brain can get stuck on feeling like we are going to be stuck in an energy forever. Saturn in Pisces for 3 years can feel that way. But this new moon really is an opportunity for more optimism. So forgiveness, unconditional love, that is one of the secrets in Pisces that we're all learning in different ways, that's helping get a grip on the limits of reality that frustrate us on a regular basis. Friends and family. Depending on where these energies are showing up in your chart right now, this might have a stronger emphasis or a milder one. Jupiter in Cancer is a big element for family. And Mercury is also very close to this new moon in Sagittarius, and Mercury can be representative of our friends. When it comes to friends and family, the connection is really important in our happiness. Being close to other people. So what happens when we don't feel that? That is a unique topic to everyone. And what my intention is to just spur the thought process and the processing for all of us so that we start to think about our own lives in our own unique ways. But in a general sense, blockages to connection right now could be coming from Chiron, the wounded healer. The key here is not to hide from our wounds or to avoid them, but it's to connect with others from that wounded place, to realize that we all share similar wounds, different wounds. We're all walking around with the Chiron archetype, and the wounded healer part is that we have an ability to connect with others on this basis and make it more meaningful, make our connections feel richer and deeper for these shared experiences and helping each other out. Venus is currently trining Chiron and Jupiter is square. So if we are exaggerating our need for comfort and security and safety over the pleasure of connection in relationship and the desire that we have there, there could be more conflict that shows up. The easy energy is with Venus in Sagittarius to Chiron. It's expanding our purpose, our meaning, our awareness and our knowledge and our intelligence through these wounds, through these wounded places, and using that as a piece of connection with others. Mercury is also approaching a trine to Chiron, and that will bring more of the intellectual part. Right now, it comes through our seeking of pleasure in relationships and connection, and maybe even seeking higher wisdom in how we connect to people, whether that's through courses or a teacher or someone that you look up to in that way. Mercury representing our mental capacity and the way that we process and use detail and information, as well as connections with people that are close to us in our lives. It's through conversation about the greater picture and higher wisdom that we're affecting the nodal axis right now. Mercury is squaring the nodes. It is the ruler of the south node in Virgo. And there's going to be something around the Virgo Pisces axis for each of us where we're letting go of criticism and service without heart. We want that Pisces area of the frequency of the heart space expanding, connecting that to our language. If our language and our thought process right now is too focused on we know best and we have the knowledge without others, or anything that doesn't incorporate a more Piscean, all-encompassing forgiveness, unconditional love, rose-colored glasses lens, we're going to have an experience that creates a bit of a wobble and helps us look deeper at what our knowledge might be stuck on, what our purpose is, and how we can adjust that to have a bit more of a softer heart expansion and create room for everything that exists the way it is, and move forward from that place of more acceptance, more happiness, more trust in the process, no matter how it looks and no matter how uncomfortable it sometimes feels on a day-to-day basis. I hope that this somehow brings more happiness to your life. Check out Arthur Brooks. I will link some of the interviews below that I watched that I found really comforting and that really brought more of that Piscean acceptance to just the way life is, and somehow can add to the perspective and the purpose in life that brings us more optimism and more drive and more initiation and motivation with all of these squares from the new moon. So I hope it goes really well for you. I hope it is going well for you, no matter what the details in life are. Thank you for checking out this introduction, and now let's get into your sign. Hi, Aries. This new moon is in your 9th house. This is all about higher wisdom for you, higher knowledge. Where is your perspective on life right now? What are you processing? What are you contemplating? Which spiritual practices are helping you out? What guidance are you getting from the people around you? How are you integrating this knowledge into your daily mind with Mercury here in Sag? How is optimism and your perspective on life aligning with your values? How is it expanding your values? How is it creating a new process for your relationships? We are soon going to start a new relationship cycle with Mars-Venus conjunction in January, early January. And this is the closing of a chapter where I really see this moment as bringing in some kind of wisdom or teacher or study that changes how you align in your partnerships of all kinds, how you relate to other people, and where do your values come into play? Are you living in alignment with them? Are you living in accordance with what you believe is your higher purpose in life? Or are there emotional guided pleasures that are steering you away from where things can be more optimal? Sagittarius is also an energy of optimization. How do we make things better? How do we improve and expand on what already exists? With the ninth house, this could be actual studies, travel to foreign places, being with foreign people, being in a foreign relationship with Venus here in the house of all things foreign. How are you using relationships to gain higher wisdom in your life and change your perspective? This is an energy where you are not fixed in what you think and what you do every day. You're someone who's willing to expand constantly and look at what's new and what's next. And this is one of those moments. With squares to your 12th house of Pisces, where Neptune is, Saturn is, the North Node, you're really calling in what the energy is that you want to align with. What is your meditative process? What is your rest process? How do you connect with energy before you teach other people, before you share your wisdom, before you decide to choose a new teacher or a new program? There could be a lot of dissolving going on for Aries people where you're connecting to energy in a new way. You might be realizing that certain things need to go. Likely through expanding your wisdom, gaining new knowledge, finding a new teacher, maybe just experiencing things that you have not experienced before, that's naturally happening in the energetic realm. You're just naturally going through these energetic changes. You might not even be aware of it because 12th house activations are often hidden. Jupiter is in your 4th house of home. So for you, you've been going on a longer journey of expanding your home, expanding your inner world, expanding your sense of security. And right now with a Sagittarius new moon, that comes from more knowledge that you're gaining. Are there foreign experiences that are helping you adjust old patterns from your family lineage, from your mother's side of the family, from home, the way that you were raised? What's healing here with Jupiter? It's this healing ingredient that is changing you. It's healing from home and family life that is creating more initiative and ability to go out in the world, feel motivated, do your Aries thing because Chiron is in your sign. So you've been focusing on wounds about self and what it means to be autonomous in the world, what it means to be an activist for your own cause, what it means to go out and get your own needs met. But you're doing this from a much higher place of thinking about the big picture. It's not just a knee-jerk reaction right now. It is, what's the plan? What's the bigger purpose as it connects to your relationships that matter to you most, as it connects to your sense of security with Venus here and what you value, your money, your possessions, your ability to love, your ability to have unconditional love from an energetic space of Pisces. That is one of the secret ingredients. The other is the lovely connections between Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. This is about using this energetic connection of Neptune and Pisces to create networks that really align with you with Pluto and Aquarius in your 11th house. When you're strong in your values, you're strong in your sense of self with Chiron in your sign now, you're moving into a place where you're really clear on the matches, and those people are just naturally going to show up in your life, and you're going to recognize them. You're going to select them when they show up, and you're just going to naturally align with those people. And Uranus currently, for its last visit in your second house, is bringing more awareness and change to any wounds that you've had, again, around security. You're choosing things from a different perspective now, and that could be part of this new moon in Sag. Your perspective on what actual security is changing, and your ability to choose what feels good, what energetically aligns with you, and not necessarily the safest, most desirable, instant gratification choice in the moment. A lot of this comes down to a clear sense of what you value, even if it's different than what it was before. If it's different than pleasure, you're adding more of an intellectual piece to seeking pleasure. It could be delayed gratification, which is a big part of that happiness component I was talking about in the introduction. Knowing that if we delay gratification in the moment for this bigger picture that we're working on, which is very Sagittarius and Pisces, that is going to pay off in the long run, and we're going to be happier in the long run than going for the moment to moment, what brings the most joy and optimism. So your perspective is really changing on this. This is a moment to either, some of you could be taking off as teachers or in certain studies that are really helping propel this forward. More meditation, more spiritual practice, more openness to what is different and foreign, and the ability to experience new things, to create a new perspective, a healthier sense of safety that is unflappable. That no matter what comes along, you know you can handle this from an energetic space. But you let me know how this is going in your world, Aries. I'm always so curious about the Aries perspective because, as per the alignment of the chart, yours always speaks more truly to exactly what's going on in the generalized archetypes of the moon energy. So much fun to hear and chat with you in the comments. Have a wonderful new moon, and check out my booking link in the description if you would like a personal one-on-one reading that can give you a lot more in-depth information on what's ahead. I'll see you next time. Hi, Taurus. This is an 8th house new moon for you. So this is all about death, transformation, taxes, rebirth, other people's money. This is ultimately a sudden reversals, transformational house that can encompass a lot of different things. Wonderful place to have a new moon, especially in Sagittarius. This is your perspective changing on these transformational cycles. There's something here that looks like you're resisting change a lot less. You're looking at things differently. You have a new take on life. You might be feeling more optimistic, or something suddenly happens with your psychology and your transformational process, or deaths and births and rebirths of some kind that shifts your connections to other people, shifts your energetic alignment to networks and allies and people that are on the same page as you energetically. With a Sagittarius new moon, they're likely on the same page as you with purpose as well, with relationship goals, with values that take on a desire to expand and gain more wisdom rather than just status quo. This is a time when relationships and money, the things that you value, your possessions, you want them to have depth and purpose. There's a new cycle here in that area, and you're able to communicate it differently as well, to put things in a mental capacity with Mercury here that you can share with people. You can share with your networks, your audience, your teams out in the world. And as Saturn and Neptune finish their transit in your 11th house of Pisces, they're getting this boost from the 8th house knowledge that you're gaining. So on this path of changing the networks that you're a part of and your groups, there's energetic alignment and more meaning. Jupiter square to Chiron is happening from your 3rd house of Cancer to your 12th house of Aries. Chiron in the 12th house could be a feeling of wounding around your connection to energy, to all things, to the divine, to God. There's an emphasis on spiritual practice right now for everyone. And being in the 12th house you're able to connect to other people that also feel that way. And this could be part of your allies in the 11th house that's being activated as well. You want to be with people that feel similarly as you do when it comes to your spiritual, energetic focus. And other people that might also have wounds and sensitivities around this. People that may be hiding their knowledge around what their life is like in an energetic way, or hiding wounds. This could be very relevant for a lot of Taurus people because there's a desire to always move towards what's secure, what's pleasurable, what is good and enjoyable in this world. Sometimes that energetic realm has an intangible quality that is easy to ignore for a Taurus individual. And these are just very linear, simplified archetypes, so it's very different for each person's chart. But if you're feeling that there have been wounds you wanted to ignore, Jupiter might be activating that right now. This is part of transforming your perspective on life and death and the rebirth process, on shared resources, on how you merge emotionally and psychologically with other people, or how you manage your own psychological transformations. The 8th house is, by classic position, a scorpionic house, which is your polarity. So this is where you might naturally create some resistance or be imbalanced. This is a moment where you're stepping into more balance, so you're less afraid of the transformational process, or whatever's showing up in your life is nudging you towards that, so that you don't have to fear the unseen realm. You don't have to fear the death or loss of something as it's making room for something else. That there are natural cycles in life that you are feeling a lot more comfortable in. It could have to do with actual resources, so there could be some topics and new beginnings that you're doing with money as it relates to assets that you share with another person. For a lot of Taurus people out there, there could be a very financial activation. It's going to show up differently for everyone, but with Uranus back in your sign, you're breaking through some of the rigidity around attachment to security, attachment to things just going a certain way and being predictable and steady. There's a lot of benefit in that, but it's not always how reality functions. And when we can find security while things break away, while things die off and transform, we have an opportunity to create that much more in the next evolution phase. So I think a lot of Tauruses are going through a lot of letting go, a lot of releasing, and it's going to create more space for optimism. It's going to create more space for abundance, and it's going to enrich in the way that you bond with other people and the way that you connect with your own psychology and how comfortable you feel being in that energy. Ultimately, this then will create better allies and networks and friends with Saturn and Neptune finishing their transit in your 11th house. Would love to hear how this is going for Taurus people out there. But thank you so much for hanging out here and checking out this video. And if you want more with your personal chart, check out my booking link in the description below. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Gemini. This is a partnership new moon for you. This is all about other. And you have Venus in your partnership house right now, Mercury, this new moon. This is thinking about what you value in relationships. This could be a brand new relationship. This could be a new beginning in existing partnerships, especially work related for a lot of Geminis. The square to your 10th house, where Saturn and Neptune are finishing their final transit in Pisces. You have the North Node here still. So there's a lot going on with your career, your visibility, your authority out in the world, your sense of autonomy and agency and ability to create out of energy, out of nothingness. You're really stepping into this energetic power, and the relationships could be changing as a result. The dynamic of an existing work relationship or a relationship taking on a new status. This type of energy can speak to commitment and the limitations and the reality within the commitment structure. What does that mean to have agency and make things work in agreements? How do you use other people to add to your own ability to step out in the world and do what you want to do and need to do? And it's not using people, it's about the journey that you agree upon with another person. And because Sag is your partnership house, you are naturally drawn to people that have these Sagittarian qualities, that are optimistic and expansive and healing and knowledge seekers. And it fits really well with your air sign of wanting to accumulate a lot of ideas and knowledge yourself. But this is about higher purpose. This is about higher purpose in your work and career and your visibility and whatever it is that you represent out in the world, and taking that energy very seriously with Saturn in Pisces. Someone is helping you, though, with partnerships. Someone's helping you do this. Someone's bringing more optimism to your life, but you're able to hold this authority and agency at the same time. This new moon, because it's squaring your 10th house, there could be an element of conflict that shows up that helps you realize that much more strongly. And I think that Venus in this part of the chart is going to add some grace and fun. And this could have to do with children for you. Venus is the ruler of your 5th house. Venus is the ruler of your 12th house. So there's, again, more Pisces emphasis on the energy at the core of things. But it is about play. It is about creativity and fun and finding that optimistic edge in relationships. Finding out that you have shared values in a way that is expanding your perception of the world and creating more purpose with your significant partnerships. Venus alongside this new moon in your partnership house, being the ruler of your 12th house where Uranus is groundbreaking for, again, your ability to connect to the energetic realms, to have an intuitive edge when it comes to how you connect with other people and how you use your relationships for personal development and growth and expansion of yourself. Pluto is in your 9th house of Aquarius, but this is my classic position, a Sagittarius house. So there's more emphasis, again, on this higher purpose, greater wisdom, expanding knowledge, maybe being a teacher yourself. But this is the type of teaching that is cutting edge, that's breaking the mold, that's going outside of the box, and that's shattering old patterns of trauma, perhaps, that are holding you back from being that next new evolved version of yourself that you want to be. And because this is a new moon in your 7th house, this is going to relate to partnerships. There is a lot of wisdom that's gathering about your authority, your agency, your ability to manage your energetic self and your connection to your intuition that is going to benefit partnerships and ultimately you. Your ruler is also in your partnership sign, so this could feel like there's more emphasis on other people for some. So your partner could be going through something, your business partner, and it could be really more about others right now. But this is your chart, this is your reading. So even when it's about other people, it is about you. It's about how you relate. It's about how you feel when the emphasis is on another person. And it's going to come back to values. It's going to come back to shared wisdom and purpose in the world, and a desire to gain knowledge, even if there are differences, even if there are conflicts, even if there are energetic differences between how people operate out in the world and how people manage their authority. We're all a bit different there. And this Pisces emphasis can have a greater acceptance and unconditional love for the ways that other people show up in their authority and the ways that you do. And that, I think, is where a lot of healing speaks to. And Sag New Moon is about healing. It's about knowing that we can have these differences in authority and agency and be accepting of those differences, be accepting of how we all show up. So there isn't a rigidity to what is different or foreign. there is an acceptance and an integration that we're all going to show up a little bit foreign to each other, a little bit different, and we need to figure out the best way to operate within that. A lot of emphasis for leaning on your personal wisdom, your agency, and I think that there's a level of just letting others be that's going to be the next signature of having happier connections, relationships of all kinds, whatever bonds are showing up right now, even if it's other people on the street. Seventh house is more likely significant relationships in your life, but there's still just a reflection of self versus other in the world and how we operate and how we work towards our goals, work towards creating the structures in the world that we want to see. And you're the one mastering this right now. So I would love to hear how this is showing up for you, Gemini. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments. If you feel called to say hi there, please do. If you would like a one-on-one reading, check out my booking link in the description. But have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Cancer. This is a sixth house new moon for you. So you are embarking on applying higher wisdom and knowledge to your day-to-day habits, your routines, how you get things done. This is a mundane house of tasks and the things that we do to serve other people and ourselves in life. And this can feel mundane and monotonous at times. But with Sag here, you know how to add an element of higher purpose to what can otherwise be a mundane, boring task. So the discipline of brushing your teeth and getting exercise in the morning or whatever your routines are, there's an opportunity here that when you apply higher meaning to what you're doing, you see the big picture. You know that flossing is going to give you longevity of your dental health. You know that going to work and creating healthy relationships with the people in your work environment are going to expand productivity and create a happier workplace. With Venus and Mercury here as well, these are the rulers of your fourth house, your 11th house, your 12th house. There are a lot of other elements that are coming in from your life around the story of this new moon. How you communicate. What's your home environment like? What's your sense of safety and security? And how has your upbringing influenced the way that you operate by tasks and routine every day? How do you organize the allies and people that you work with? What are the communities that you're a part of on a daily basis in your routines that add a sense of adventure and expansion of knowledge that feels good to you, that aligns with your values? What is it about your spiritual world and your spiritual practices that have a embedded routine into everything that you do during the day? Or maybe you're setting aside time for spiritual routines in a different way than you did before. This could be energy where you're really weaving that into everything that you do. Saturn and Neptune are finishing the transit in your ninth house. This is even more Sagittarius energy for you, but it's Pisces. This is really about higher purpose in an energetic and spiritual sense. What is your idea of energy and God and how that makes sense in your world? How do you use structure and add a more tangible sensibility to working with that spiritual practice in your life? How does your mind expand because you have a strong understanding of what energy does in your life? The way that you approach intellectual pursuits is going to be from a very inclusive place. You are someone who is a bit curious about everything. You might even have the opposite spectrum where you dissociate more from spiritual practice or from things that are foreign and different. But given that Neptune and Saturn are finishing their transit in your ninth house and you have the North Node here, that shift has been going on for a while, likely, where if you're the type who has been more dissociated from an energetic practice in your world, you're bringing that in. And you're watching an astrology video, so that speaks to something. Maybe some of you are embarking more on astrology, you're teaching astrology, or some other type of spiritual practice that is becoming a part of your day to day. Many of you could be teachers and needing to rework your routine as a result, or you are getting a new teacher that is showing you how to shift what you do on a daily basis. You have been going through Jupiter in your sign, and this is big expansion for all Cancerians out there. Lots of healing, lots of expansion of who you are, how you assert yourself, what you want to do in the world. And this new moon looks like a moment where work and the knowledge you have to share and your perspective of things is coming into play in a stronger way. So you've been changing so much about yourself and expanding a lot of this self-initiation that it's starting to bleed into your daily activities and your work and how you share knowledge with others. Uranus in your 11th house and Pluto in your 8th house are energies to lean on right now where it comes to breaking the mold of how you connect with other people, your sense of security with networks and groups that you're a part of, and deeper psychological transformations. It looks like a lot of Cancerians out there could be going through big emotional, psychological purging and releasing. And as a result, this is a longer journey, but this Uranian energy for you in your 11th house and Uranus being the ruler of your 8th house can add such a strong intuitive sense to how things already operate. You have the bird's eye view of these parts of your life. At the same time, that can prevent you from actually going through this transformational process because you see the big picture, you see things from afar, and you get it. But there's quality with all of this Neptune, Pisces energy where there are elements of your life that are encouraging you to just go into the emotional process. It's not about intellectualizing the observational piece, which you are very skilled at. It's about taking the time to really throw yourself into the process of daily life that is going to shift that energy for you. It could be that conflicts are a part of this. Conflicts with people in your daily life, coworkers. There could be friction around belief systems, and that is an element of life that is just thrusting you into expanding your mindset and expanding your beliefs and looking at things differently, looking at your daily life and habits through a different lens because of some of the conflicts that you might be having with other people. Or you're setting an example for others as well. With conflicts showing up, I do think that most people in this Sagittarius new moon are going to be looking at the perspective and the higher purpose. So it's just going to come naturally. But I wanted to add that element so that you can look at any things that are coming your way, conflicts potentially, as a teaching piece, as an opportunity to expand your mind, add some foreign pieces that shift your perspective, and maybe even give you a sense of stronger autonomy and agency in the world with Jupiter in your sign, squaring Chiron in your 10th house of Aries. You are going to feel stronger of just sticking to your authority, creating what you want, and knowing that you have control over how you represent yourself and how that connects to your perspective of the world and the people that you connect with on a daily basis. This is hitting a lot of parts of your chart, Cancer. I would love to hear how this is showing up in your world. It's so much fun chatting with you in the comments. And if you do feel like getting a personal one-on-one reading, check out my booking link in the description below. But have a wonderful new moon in your 6th house, and I will see you next time. Leo. This is a 5th house new moon for you. So this is all about your creative self-expression. This is traditionally, classically, the house of Leo. So this is an element where you feel really comfortable. It can involve romance, children, your hobbies, what you do for play, but it's really at the core your biggest creative self-expression. And that's what children are when we are in the midst of getting to know someone and in the infatuation stage, that initial excitement, even if it's friends. There is a burst forth of who we are as our true, authentic, creative selves. And it's a bit on high. And then later on, as we get to know people, other parts of the chart show up, specifically the 8th house, which is where this new moon is squaring Saturn, Neptune. You have Mercury squaring the North Node here. These two houses are lit up for you, and the 8th house is about your psychological transformation. It could be a sudden reversal with trauma. It can be shared resources. It could be money and support from other people. It speaks to me a lot about the interchanging of energy between two people in the 8th house, and it can represent deep, intimate bonds. So this is a fun two places to have a new moon and to have these planets lit up. But with Saturn and Neptune doing their final round in your 8th house, there's likely some finalizing of psychological stuff that you're working on as it relates to fun, as it relates to allowing you to have more fun. Because Sagittarius is your 5th house, you have an ability to constantly expand this part of your life, whether it's dating or creative expression or just hobbies. You're always finding new things to add to that, and it's going to be chart dependent, of course, but there's just a lot of room for expansion in this part of your life, and probably a part of your life that you put a lot of energy into and you like to see grow and expand. You want to have fun. You want to play. You want to be seen. You're a Leo. So lovely to have the sun in this part of your chart. With Venus here, it speaks even more to relationships, what you value when it comes to fun and play and pleasure and dating. Venus squaring Saturn with this new moon in your 8th house means that there's a bit of correction, though, to do with your values and romance and how you step into that arena of play and creativity. Even financially, this could show up of how much you're spending on pleasure, how much you're spending on your hobbies, creativity, children. With the 8th house, if you share resources with people, and this is about children, for example, there's some reworking and restructuring to do with how you share the resources around that. If it has to do with just money that you spend on pleasure, you might be recalibrating what matters to you and how you want energy to flow between yourself and other people. With Mercury and Sagittarius in your 5th house, this is a wonderful time to put your creativity into words. You could be thinking more about your creative self-expression, and you could feel more of a natural ease of getting this across to other people, especially as this relates to dating or romance or new connections in that way. Even though this is a lot of square energy between these two houses, the 8th house can sometimes be death and rebirth and births. A square can be challenging. There could be something that has to go with your psychology in order to make more room for fun and play or deep, intimate bonds. Even though there are challenging aspects, a 5th house new moon in Sagittarius is a fun one. The ruler of this moon is in your 12th house, and it's squaring Chiron in your 9th house. This is more Sagittarius, Jupiter, Piscean energy. So there's double load for you. You really want to think about your perspective on things, your perspective on life, your perspective on loss and change and transitions in life. You're looking at a wiser perspective. You might have challenges with teachers or challenges with foreign experiences that are not familiar. A Chiron moon in your 9th house with Jupiter squaring from your 12th house. There could be some challenges with not feeling understood for your perspective, or if you have a teacher in your life or someone that's trying to teach and expand your mind in some way, there could be some friction around the energy and belief system that you have and that of another person. If the 12th house relates to any dissociation or overdoing things or self-destructive habits, then there's a mindset change that you have an opportunity for right now. But there can be so many things that this represents. It could be more meditation, more intuition. You could get a burst of new levels of understanding of the energetic world that come to you in your dream life, when you're sleeping, when you're resting. And this could be a radical change to your perspective and a sense that you have the ability to go off on your own and create your own path when it comes to how you see the world, your spiritual practices, and what you believe life to be. Leaning on Pluto and Uranus right now means that there's something with partnerships, your status in the world, how you are out in the world, that is breaking the mold, that is ready for a tower moment, that is ready for change. There is an opportunity to step into a new way of being seen and to break free of any limitations that you've had of how you should be in the world, what you should do for security, what your public image should look like from a place of feeling secure. So I really see all of this energy as feeling more free with another person or with other people. You're feeling free with this new moon in your fifth house to be your creative self, to be radically different, to add more intuition with Jupiter in your 12th house, to add your specific signature of what the energetic spiritual world means to you, what the divine means, what God means, whatever terminology you want to put to it. This is a liberating new moon for Leos out there. But you let me know how this is showing up for you. Would love to hear the details of your life, and so much fun chatting with you in the comments and meeting you for Zoom calls. I will link my booking site in the description below. Thank you so much for hanging out here. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time. Virgo, this new moon is in your 4th house of home, family, your family lineage, the place you came from, the way that you were raised, your mother. This is a brand new beginning in the home that you want to create and who you are on the inside that is different now and wiser than where you came from. There will be elements that you hold on to and you keep. The way we were raised, there's always an imprint there. But this is a moment where you have an opportunity to create an expanded view of what home life can be. The squares to your 7th house of Pisces, finishing up this Neptune and Saturn transit in your 7th house and the North Node, looks like it's with other people and seeing through the energy of other people. Really understanding what's at the core of another person from an energetic perspective. Not the way that they present themselves on the outside, but what's deeper. And this has been changing your perspective on home in some way. Mars was recently in your 4th house and has moved on now to Capricorn in your 5th house by the time of this new moon. But in the 4th house, you could have had some frustration and agitation at home first before this new wisdom bursts forth. You could be aligning more with your values with Venus here. You could be spending money on home-related matters. And in the end, it's going to make for a beautiful new expansion for the next 6 months until the Sagittarius full moon of what your inner world is and how that reflects into your home and family life. The ruler of your chart is Mercury, and it is squaring the nodes in your axis. So the South Node in Virgo, the North Node in Pisces. This is about you. This is about fated change with your partnerships and how you show up in partnerships. So whatever wisdom you've been gaining lately is cracking the mold right now of how you operate at home and how you communicate with other people in a way that includes the wisdom gained and in a way that makes your relationships with other people more synergistic. Others could feel more seen by you. You could have the ability now to be able to navigate conversations in a way that helps your partnerships because the North Node is adding more energy to this partnership sector of your chart. Neptune and Saturn both direct here now for the final stages. That Neptune video is linked in the description below if you want more information on that. But this is the final stretch of a journey that could have felt foggy and complicated when it comes to other people. But things are clicking into place now, and this 4th house new moon is a big part of that. And that now you have this expanded wisdom, experience, and perspective to step forward with. There might be more to add to this, but it looks like if you're starting a new beginning with a home with Venus here, it could really be aligned with what you need. It could be a beautiful new home. There could be lots of communication and connection. It could be helpful for your career as well, because Mercury in your 4th house also rules your 10th house of work and visibility. Jupiter is in your 11th house, squaring Chiron in your 8th house. So there's still some psychological reworking to do with aligning with the networks that you want to align with. If you have fear and resistance around connection and community and alignment with like-minded people in the world, or you're just with Jupiter in your 11th house, this is a year where you are getting aligned with people that are your allies and can support you and are really at a frequency match. But Chiron in your 8th house is an element where you're doing more work to create that alignment with people in your 11th house of audience and friends and, well, acquaintances and networks and people that just show up in your life in a way that matches where you're at. So the psychology is not quite done reworking. This is a moment where you're really in it. And when Jupiter goes direct next year, you'll probably feel more of the payoff of the work you've been doing with Chiron in your 8th house of merging resources and deeper intimacy and how you exchange energy with another person. There's a lot of psychological unraveling when Chiron's in the 8th house of Aries. It's about knowing what you need and not having past trauma or past psychological patterns get in the way of you taking action and initiative towards your goals. Aligning with the right people in the world sometimes takes action and initiative. So there's that layer too. But I do see a lot of Virgos doing ongoing psychological work with Chiron here. So hang in there. There's a lot of newness starting in 2026. And you might be feeling it already. Even though this new moon has so many squares, there's a lot of potential for quick change, helpful change, optimistic change with Sagittarius. There could even be an element of overdoing things with Venus in Sag. There's a tendency to overdo pleasure, and the reality check is going to come from other people with Saturn in Pisces for some Virgos. There could be an element of overdoing things at home and how that helps or hinders your significant relationships. That's just one element. The Venus piece can show up in so many ways. I hope for many of you that it means that you're having more fun, that you're enjoying home, that pleasure and abundance is showing up in the home life. And if not, Saturn is just doing little corrections so that it continues to unfold in a way that's really balanced. That's what Saturn likes to do, is especially when it's squaring planets in Jupiter. Anything that's overdoing is going to just get a little bit of a balance check. Lean on Pluto and Uranus. Pluto is breaking the mold with your health habits, your routines, getting a good system in check, doing things differently than you've done before when it comes to your daily habits and routines. And in the 9th house, Uranus is changing your mindset. So this is another layer of Sag energy where your ability to take in foreign ideas and foreign concepts is expanding. There's an opportunity with Pluto and Uranus for everyone to step into a divinely guided new way of doing things. For you, it's going to be a divinely guided new way of seeing the world. It's going to have to do with home-related stuff because of this new moon. Just at this time, that's going to be the focus. But these are longer transits, so you have more time. But do think about your routines, your mindset around all things, especially home. And would love to hear how things are clicking into place for Virgos with home and family, and just that sense that your inner world is feeling a little bit more optimistic. I think for a lot of Virgos, the Pisces, Neptune, Saturn final push is creating more fog than Virgos feel comfortable with. And that could be a haze that can feel a bit sluggish, but Pluto's been gaining momentum in your 6th house, which is a Virgo house. So those strengths of routine and system and order are coming back into play for you. But you let me know. I would love to hear from you in the comments. That's always so much fun to chat with you there. And my booking website is in the description below. Thank you for hanging out here. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Libra. This new moon is in your third house. This is about communication, community, short distance travel, like neighborhood community, though. Your people that are close to you, could be siblings, close relatives, but ultimately communication and your daily mind, the Gemini topics. With a new moon here and Mars having recently traveled here and all of these squares to your sixth house of Pisces, some Libras could have been facing more conflict and frustration, especially with Mercury retrograde. There could have been Mercury retrograde that has just passed. Mars was just in this third house of communication, which can create more agitation and frustration or quick-paced communication that was misunderstood. And the squares, they are of Mars energy. So this just could be, for some of you, conflict that came to the surface that has shifted your mindset on communication. It's shifted your perspective. You've been able to add new ways of looking at things, foreign concepts, to shift your perspective on anger and Mars-related topics, action, initiation, passion. These all come from the same Mars energy, and anger can be a part of that. It can be a part of what drives us. It can be a part of what propels us into initiation. Mars has moved on. Now we have Venus here. So Venus is smoothing over the waters. The two of them were traveling together in this part of your chart, which gives me the impression that when it comes to communication, you are working at the end of a cycle as Mars and Venus close this chapter. It will fully start a new cycle January 10th, but this is about yin and yang energy in your communication, listening and then taking action based on that. And it's a deeper understanding of where other people are coming from with Venus here. When we have this deeper understanding of where other people are coming from, especially at an energetic level when we're talking about so much Pisces activity in your sixth house, this is in your sixth house of day-to-day work and routines and health habits, but there's still a lot of communication between these two parts of your chart. So not only listening to other people, but taking in the energy that's at the core of what's going on in a day-to-day way. That's what really helps richen communication, richen our mindset every day in knowing that there's a lot more going on underneath the surface than what we see and perceive at a superficial level with our minds and with communication. And I speak about this because of Mercury being here too. When it comes to the sixth house, now that Saturn and Neptune are direct and the North Node is still here, there's an emphasis on the energy that you put into your daily life. Not with the activation from the third house, there's still quality of mindset. But when we're talking about Pisces in your sixth house, it's about the energy beneath that that's coming through. So if your mindset is in a challenged position, or it's feeling really good, or you're thinking optimistically because it's Sagittarius, that can overcloud what's really going on. Saturn can be reality checking that from Pisces. But the opportunity is to look at the energy behind things, behind yourself and that of what's going on in your day-to-day life, and allow that to shift, allow that to flourish and adjust your belief systems and your mindset as you use it in practical day-to-day ways. Both the sixth house and the third house, where a lot of activity is for this new moon, are very practical houses. They're about getting things done in your daily mind. But Pisces is much broader than that. It has very little practicality. It's the opposite of the sixth house, because the sixth house is Virgo by classic position and Pisces is the polarity. So it is more about all things, the energetic realms, divine, God, the cosmos, everything beneath the practical, everything that surrounds the practical. So this is a lot about merging the two for you right now. And it's going to help your communication, and it's going to help you feel healthier. It's going to help your mindset. It's going to help you get more things done. And I think a wonderful opportunity for a perspective shift. So whatever conflict might be showing up, it looks like it's really paying off. And you're going to start to see that with this cycle of the new moon. Jupiter squaring Chiron in your 7th house is expanding your visibility, expanding your status, expanding your agency in the world and the way that you show up in your own inner authority. How much agency do you feel that you have, and where are wounds connected to other people that are affecting this agency? This is Chiron in your 7th house. There could be wounding around listening to others, around your feelings of connectivity, and just relationships in general. Jupiter, even though it's squaring, it could be showing up in something abrupt or a conflict of some kind, but it's here to help, and it's here to show you how much agency and authority you really have. It's here to expand your career and your visibility, and maybe that's creating problems in some relationships. Maybe there's some reworking there for other people's Chiron wounds as well, and there's an opportunity to come in on a match. That's what Chiron is all about. It's not just about being wounded. The wounded healer part is about how we merge with other people to heal our own wounds and others as well. It's like was it Ram Dass that said we're all just walking each other home? That's what this Chiron in your 7th house is about right now. It's about connecting with other people to work through wounds together, to have compassion with Neptune and Saturn in your 6th house of Pisces. And this is somehow helping your visibility in your career. You want to lean on Pluto in your 5th house and Uranus in your 8th house for breaking through any trauma that you've had around your creative self-expression, your authenticity. You have an opportunity here to be creatively unique and to not be afraid of what other people think. Maybe that's what Chiron in your 7th house is bringing up right now, so that you can be visible. You could be more Uranian, which is going to the beat of your own drum, healing wounds and breaking through any old ways that you've worked with authority, whether that's people that have authority over you or a sense of lack of authority because of needing to conform to what has been. You're breaking the mold with your psychology and your creative self-expression, and this is going to heal your visibility, your status in the world. You're going to feel more of this next year when Jupiter goes direct, but this is a moment where communication, your routines, the energy you put behind things, your ability to connect and listen to others and feel like you are also heard and received, and then you can take appropriate action. All of these elements are showing up for this new moon. But I would love to hear what's going on in your world. It's fun chatting with you in the comments below if you feel called to that. If you would like a one-on-one Zoom reading, my booking site is linked in the description below. But thank you so much for hanging out here. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Scorpio. This is the 2nd house new moon for you. So this is all about your values, your money, your assets, your possessions. How do you find pleasure in this earthly realm, and how do you go after it, and how do you align with what really matters to you? For you, more than other signs, this piece around happiness and aligning with the values that really matter is going to be highlighted. All of these 2nd house placements are squaring planets in your 5th house that have to do with children, creativity, fun, hobbies, play, romance. These 2 houses combined are a reset in your creative self-expression, in what you value. You could be expanding your perspective on how you feel about children, how you feel about fun, how much money are you spending on fun and children. And there's a reset here. There's an opportunity to take on different ideas that you didn't see before. Mars was just here, so you could have had a lot more money going out. You could have had challenges and situations that showed up that have made you question where you're putting your energy, which is where you're putting your money. And now is the time where you're starting a new cycle. So for the next 6 months, you're going to be putting energy out into the world in a different way. You're going to be spending your money differently. Maybe on more fun and more creativity and more pleasure. That is one of the things that we can really set up for ourselves in life. This also relates back to the delayed gratification part of the happiness intro. Sagittarius is a planet of happiness and optimism. It's not one of delayed gratification. It's one of wanting more, wanting what's next, not really fully being satisfied with what you have. This is going to be different for each person's chart. These are just generalized the ways that the archetypes show up. But regardless of where you're at right now, this is a moment where you're reaching a new perspective on what you value and how you operate in life to get there, how you align yourself with the big picture of where you want to go with your assets and your money and where you put your energy. As a Scorpio, especially Scorpio risings, Sag is in your second house, and this means that you are always thinking about the bigger picture with energy and finances and your possessions. But this is just the next level. Venus is here, so this means that if you are spending money right now, it is on things that really matter to you, beautiful things with Venus, things that align with your values. You could be having more conversations with Mercury here as well around these topics, and maybe with fifth house topics too, like children, and with the fifth house being Pisces and Saturn and Neptune now direct here, there's a refining of energy. Any fog around how you feel about children and your creative work is clearing up, and it's clicking into place with your values at this new moon. Jupiter squaring Chiron is happening from your 9th house to your 6th house, so wounds around your routine, how you feel about your day-to-day life, your health. This is getting an expansion from your 9th house of perspective. This is very Sagittarian again, with Jupiter being the ruler of Sagittarius and the 9th house being the classic position for Sagittarius. So this is another layer of expanding your mindset, and you, more than some other signs, are feeling this expansion of wisdom. You're integrating foreign ideas and foreign concepts, and it's helping your health, and it's helping you reset what your values and assets are going towards. The second house where this new moon is can also be about the food that you ingest and the things that you nourish your body with. So because you have activations in your 6th house, health matters, and your routines around health and food could be a part of that. Lean on Pluto in your 4th house and Uranus in your 7th house. It is here in home and family that you are having transformational rejuvenation. It could be related to partnerships. It could be related to other people bringing radical new ideas to you that have to do with Taurus-like things, because the 7th house is Taurus for you. So it's through others that you realize more about what material pleasure really is, what security from a perspective of financial abundance and being able to enjoy the earthly things. You could be doing this with a partner. You could be figuring out new ways to manage home life and partnership. This is where the genius is. This is where the new ideas could be coming from, and it's feeding into the 2nd house, 5th house energy for you. But you let me know, Scorpio. I would love to hear how this is showing up for you. Something around assets and values. And for a long time, your creativity has been on high. This could be related to children, but creative self-expression and fun are a big part of this. And if there's conflict around these areas right now, it's just so that you can make a plan for your energy and your assets and have more later on. Thank you so much for being here and checking out this video and liking, subscribing. If you would like more, check out my booking link in the description below for a one-on-one Zoom call. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time. Sag, this is your new moon. Happy birthday to all the Sages out there. This is great energy to have all of these planets in your sign, to have Venus in your sign especially. But with squares to your fourth house, there could be challenges with home and family that you've been working out. And it's really shifting and helping you flourish as an individual. You could be feeling this right now, starting to click into place. Mercury retrograde last month, and maybe Mars in your sign most recently, created tougher energy, but it's now helping you come to a new position on how you assert your wisdom, how you incorporate foreign concepts and foreign ideas, and the richness of the vast knowledge that you are able to put into purpose. Sagittarius are so good at that. And this is just one more burst forward of how you're able to put that out into the world. And right now with Venus in your sign, you're very likely being seen in a wonderful light. This could be energy where you're feeling a bit over the top, especially around birthday time. So if you're getting into that Jupiterian Venus vibe of overindulging and over pleasure, then there could be something at home with Saturn and Pisces in your fourth house that is giving you a bit of a constricting feeling and helping this Venus come into balance in Sagittarius. But regardless, it's a great time for purchases that have to do with your appearance, haircuts, buying new clothes. Do keep in mind, though, that there are squares from Saturn and Neptune, so you don't want to be overspending or overdoing it. Just be mindful of that Venus in your sign could have that element. Jupiter's in your 8th house, squaring Chiron in your 5th house. This is an element that could add heavier energy for some Sages. There's an expansion of psychological work that you're doing as it relates to fears and trauma and pain and wounds that you've suffered around children, around your creative self-expression, around your ability to have fun. By nature, Sagittarians are a very fun sign, but a moment like this is just helping you peel back another layer of what has been holding you back and limiting your ability to freely express. And it's coming through psychological transformation. It's coming through shared resources. You might actually have a burst or a boost of shared resources or support from another person with Jupiter in your 8th house. So this is generally a great financial transit. But this moment is activating this Chiron wound in your 5th house. So for some of you, I hope that it's more money coming in, and this helps you work more towards your creative goals. This is one of the lovely aspects that's in trine with Venus. So Venus in your sign helping out this Chiron, it does look to me overall like a recovery energy. You might be more aware of these wounds that are limiting your creative self-expression and your ability to feel free and joy and open-hearted. But this is helping you recognize it and break free, create something that allows you to feel more connected at a heart level and a creative level. The 3rd house and 6th house are where you have Pluto and Uranus. And this is a moment where you're getting divine inspiration in your communication, in your mindset, your health, your daily habits. You're breaking through an old pattern here, and this is also part of the boost that you're getting right now. So you'll see the changes happening in your communication, maybe with siblings, close relatives, short distance travel vehicles. Those are some of the more physical ways that things can show up. But it's the 3rd and 6th house for you where something revolutionary and different could be happening. And this is part of what's making you feel good right now. It's helping you feel more creative, more like yourself is a huge thing because there's so much activity in Sag. This Mars that's just been here and closing off the cycle with Venus, you're feeling more in balance with your ability to give and take. And the 8th house can be about that too, where there's a balance of energy exchange with other people. And that overall helps you have more energy and helps other people show up in a supportive way. I would love to hear how this is showing up for Sages. If you feel called to, it's so much fun chatting with you in the comments below. But thank you for hanging out here, checking out this video. Have a wonderful new moon. And if you would like a one-on-one, my booking link is in the description below. I'll see you next time. Hi, Capricorn. This is the 12th house new moon for you. This is the hidden part of your chart. This is the energy behind all things. This is the cosmos and divine inspiration, meditation, rest, a time out. This unseen, hidden part of your life and restful part of your life could mean that you're taking a bit of a break before your birthday season, and that's always a good thing. This is a more meditative, contemplative time where you're looking into your own psyche differently. You're looking into the energy that you bring into the world and that behind all things that you do, especially your thoughts, your mindset, because all of this activity is squaring your third house with Saturn and Neptune finishing their transit here. So this has been a 3-year and a 14-year journey where you're reworking your mindset, your communication. Could be something to do with siblings, close relatives, short distance travel, neighbors. That's how things can show up in a practical sense. But really it's about what the energy behind your day-to-day mind is. If you're any self-destructive habits could be reworked around this time. This could be a new beginning for anything that is more dissociative and not helpful anymore. And you're connecting the two worlds of energetic and productive communication, mindset, mercurial third house things. Venus and Mercury in your 12th house could mean that there's stuff that you're reworking around your finances and values. This could be financial leaks. This could be communication misunderstandings when Mercury's in your 12th house. There's a fog here in the 12th house and that unseen element. So there might be hidden financial stuff that will come to surface later on or that's becoming apparent at this new moon. And with squaring Saturn in your third house, whatever is hidden or foggy or not clear right now could need some communication to sort through that fog and understand things better. You do have Jupiter in your 7th house squaring Chiron in your 4th house. So as it relates to other people and home, there's some communication that could be coming out there. Just because there's 7th house activation and 4th house, so home and other people are an important part of whatever is going on. A new moon in the 12th house could mean that you are increasing your intuitive senses. You're expanding your perspective of the divine, of what God and energy and spiritual realms mean to you. So your intuition could be expanding, and that could be changing your connections with other people and with home life. Any wounds related to the family that you came from, your mother, your current home, the place you grew up, these are refining right now, and your inner world is changing with Jupiter from your 7th house squaring Chiron in your 4th. And that's your inner world. So your sense of security, any wounds that you've had here, and this is more the energetic expression as is the sense of security in the 4th house. Your sense of safety and what it means to feel at home, rather than the actual expression of what's going on in your home life. But the two can definitely be overlapped. And when things show up in our home life, like this Jupiter squaring Chiron, there could be a sensitivity around these topics, and that can show up in a practical, physical way. But it's really an opportunity to look at the deeper energy of what it means for you to feel safe. And with these houses lit up at the new moon, I think that a lot of that is going to come from your faith, your ability to have unconditional love for other people, for this world the way it is, your ability to forgive other people and the family and home place that you came from, maybe the people that you live with. There's a lot of energetic reworking here as an opportunity to create better home, better relationships, and better communication. And then it's going to be your birthday soon. When the sun comes into Capricorn just after this new moon, it will be Capricorn season. You'll be feeling some of that vitality come back. You'll be feeling more renewed and more purpose. Every year, the month before solstice is going to feel a bit like this, where you're reworking the energetic pieces, and then it's going to burst forth and have more energy and vitality in your birthday month. Do lean on Pluto in your second house and Uranus in your fifth house for your values, your creative self-expression. You have an opportunity here to create radical change in these departments and break free of old ideals and ways that you thought you had to do things just because that's the way they've always been done. So when it comes to your resources and your ability to create in the world, you can step into something new. And probably more so around your birthday season, but that's coming up just days after this new moon. So they all really intertwine. And this new Venus-Mars cycle happens in your sign. So that is going to be a brand new beginning of how you balance the divine masculine and feminine, yin and yang energies in yourself. This is an opportunity for receiving as much as you give, and being able to give more because you're receiving more. So I think this is part of what you're reworking right now with all of this 12th house new moon activity. You need to do it at the energetic level first, and then come January, when this new cycle of Mars and Venus and everything else, you're going to really start to see the payoff of what's been going on behind the scenes right now. But I would love to hear what's going on in your world. If you feel called to chatting in the comments, that's always so much fun. But thank you for hanging out here and checking out this video. If you would like more, I am doing one-on-one Zoom readings. You can book in the description link below. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time for your birthday season. Hi, Aquarius. This new moon is in your 11th house, so this is a new opportunity to align with people that have the same perspective of the world as you. What a great feeling. You have Venus here, you just had Mars. There's so much motivation around 11th house topics. These are your networks in the world, communities, audience, allies, people that have a similar vision and are going in the same direction as you. And that creates an element of support. Squares to your second house mean that these communities could be giving you a reality check on what you value. So maybe you're aligning with people that are part of where you want to be. And this looks like very forward movement. Like maybe you're not quite at the values place that you want to be, but your networks are helping you get there. They're helping you see how to align with your values, how to take action in ways that matter to you, how to spend money and eat and nourish your body in ways that give you energy. Any fog that you've had around your resources, what you spend money on, with Neptune and Saturn direct in your second house, that's clearing up. You have the North Node here, so there could be some faded things going on this year that are helping you with your overall abundance and pleasure in the world. Your ability to enjoy earthly things, and this comes from feeling abundant in your resources, in your energy, and being really clear on what matters, because that's where abundance flourishes, when we're not spending money and energy on things that don't matter to us, or that we would rather not, or that's somehow a drain. So it looks like community is giving you a real boost, maybe new people coming into your life that will give you this boost if you're not feeling it yet. Jupiter is in your 6th house, squaring Chiron in your 3rd house. So at the same time, you have routines changing, your health habits changing, your health maybe completely changing, and you're doing some reworking of your mind here too. Your communication, your daily mind, the way you use your brain, the way you take in information. If you've had any sensitivities around being able to express yourself or having a healthy mindset, maybe even taking in the right media so that you're developing that healthy mindset, then this is a moment where it's your routines and health habits that are giving this a boost. And this could be an area that you're connecting with other people in and gaining support from networks of some kind as it relates to this. This is a great energy for getting past wounds and sensitivities around your communication that helps you broaden an audience if that's part of what you do. The 11th house and 3rd house both relate to social media and markets and online connectivity and discussions and communication. So something could be coming up there that's actually quite positive because Venus is in trine, which is a useful, beneficial, opportunistic aspect to your communication house. The 11th house is, by classic position, the house of Aquarius. Beyond that, you have Pluto in your sign, and your ruler is Uranus, and that's in your 4th house. And these are the energies that you want to lean on right now, the Aquarian ones. This is an opportunity to be more Aquarian, be more unique, create those healthy systems and networks that really fit who you are. And you have the skill of seeing things from an observer mind, seeing the big picture, seeing how systems work. So this is a moment where the way that you operate in these systems is transforming, and the way that you integrate your home life could go through a radical change. Uranus is here in your 4th house of Taurus for the last few months, and this is your ruler. So there's a stronger correlation for you for breaking through family-related patterns, for changing your home life in some way, for having home be something that's uniquely different and that really fits who you are because it's your ruler. I do see this as a moment where communities are very influential, but you're working on very personal changes, especially as it relates to values, communication, home life, and your routines, your healthy habits. Lean on your networks and who you know yourself to be to create some of these changes, but it looks like it's just happening, and it's through other people and communities and maybe even online material that you gain the knowledge and the wisdom that really inspires you for these parts of your life. But I would love to hear how this is going for you. Let me know in the comments if you feel called to that. Always fun chatting with you there. And thank you so much for hanging out here for this video. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time. Hi, Pisces. This is a 10th house new moon for you. So this is a wonderful new beginning for expanding your visibility in the world, your career, your reputation, your status. This is how people see you. This is a time where people could see you as spiritually wise. They could see you as someone with a lot of expanded knowledge and purpose. You have Venus here boosting the situation, Mercury, so you're shining when it comes to your communication. You're able to express. This is wonderful energy for presenting and being seen and just getting out there. Squaring your 1st house, though, with Saturn and Neptune, your ruler, now direct in your sign, this visibility could be really putting to the test the final lessons that you're doing with Saturn and Neptune in your sign. How are you structuring your energy? How are you managing what you put out in the world, your initiation? How are you integrating what you know at a spiritual and energetic level? And how is that matching your knowledge and what you share in the world? This is an energy of a lot of agency and autonomy and ability to create your own authority. And you've done this work with Saturn here for 3 years in your sign. And now it's time to be seen for that. There could be something that comes up quickly and unexpectedly with squares with your career and visibility that really gives you a big boost out in the world. Status could be changing with some of you for relationships. Venus and Mercury are the rulers of your seventh house, your eighth house, your third house, and your fourth house. So this could speak to a lot of different topics, all coming together with your visibility and your status. Relationships, psychological transformation, home, communication. It really activates quite a bit. And when it's in the 10th house on one of the angles and it's squaring your sign on another angle, this is big for a lot of Pisces people. It just means that there's very likely physical stuff showing up in the real world that is going to manifest for this new moon. Jupiter's in your 5th house, squaring Chiron in your 2nd house, so your values are changing. If you've had any wounds around your assets and your abundance mindset, your ability to experience pleasure in the earthly realm and do that with money, with resources, with energy. It's your creativity that is giving this a big boost right now. You're able to lean into more of who you authentically are, and this aligns really well with this 10th house new moon of visibility. You want to lean on Pluto in your 12th house and Uranus in your 3rd house right now. This is about communication of the divine realm, and there's no one better to do this than a Pisces. So you're able to really get into words what it is that you feel and experience at an energetic level. And it looks like you're being seen for this. Finally, I'm excited to see this one for Pisces people out there. If you don't feel like this is showing up for you in job opportunities or status changes, this can take a while to fully unfold. So this is the beginning of a new phase that will last 6 months until the Sag full moon in this part of your chart. This is baby steps to putting yourself out there, being seen, and having the right situations come into alignment that meets this new person that you are, that has this new agency and Saturnian authority in the world. You're feeling strong, you're ready for this, and I'm excited to see how it all plays out. This is a time too with Uranus in your 3rd house where you could finally feel like you're being heard for the unique and radical things that you have to say. So I like this again for being seen, getting your communication out there. This is an extremely visible new moon for Pisces people. So I don't know what's going on. You let me know in the comments below how this is showing up. But even though there's tension, even though you might feel a little uncomfortable with the 10th house placements squaring your sign and Saturn and your ruler now direct, you're ready for this. You're ready for something to just crack open and shift, and this new perspective of what it means to be visible in the world could break through. So hang in there if it feels uncomfortable. I think this looks like a very beneficial one for Pisces people. If you would like to hear more, check out my booking link in the description below. But thank you for hanging out here. Have a wonderful new moon, and I will see you next time.